Oh, this is the most worst Nintendo hater I've ever seen. Nintendo fandom is fake. Most Nintendo fans are persistent 2024 our age men who had friends growing up who grew to the awkward of time excited and despite never understanding why it was revealed. The hype around Nintendo is purely parasocial, and the X pretend it's the same hype as it was made by Nintendo. So it's good for referring around where the fake fans are playing it. It's mad to themselves that everyone loves it. Okay, not everyone loves Breath of the Wild. The average score is 8.6 on Metacritic, which means there are people who don't like Breath of the Wild. Not everybody's gonna like the game. It's just how it is. It's not like people who complain. It's not like the idiots who complain about Tears of the Kingdom like every week and say it's DLC for Tears of the Kingdom for Breath of the Wild. Okay, those people are ridiculous. And who played it, going to Masterpiece 2 minutes into the game, basing their experience on more than they think what they played in the game actually is. Including the giant spiel of hype around Nintendo games was won by people who expect each other to be the one who truly liked it. Each other hype is fooling them in the game, the thinking what the game is good as they played. And in reality, it was just like the NES, SNES, and N64 days game. Nintendo has made some genuinely good games. At the time, its causes Nintendo to hold up a high standard once they immediately broke of the game. Really? The GameCube was the console that ruined Nintendo to you for you? Really? Okay, so particularly the Iwata era and not the Switch as they produced nothing but mid-keynote and high-tier slop. Nothing that truly makes you gonna goon like he did with Mario Super Metroid. I did not grow up with these games. Okay, a Link to the Past, that's supposed to be a Link to the Past. And Ocarina of Time, Nintendo hasn't actually impressed in 2 decades the way they did back then. Nintendo is a fad. It has no real fans. Oh yeah, no real fans. Okay, I'm sorry, when I played games on the DS, they were actually pretty impressive. I know for for real me, DS was a pretty impressive console. The Wii was very successful. Okay, but Nintendo is a fake fandom because I didn't grow up. I guess I'm a fake Nintendo fan because I didn't grow up in the 90s. I just don't get 90s kids. They always say that they had gaming the best. They had gaming the best, and no thing will ever top the 90s. Okay, this is probably the average 90s kid. Right? This is why I don't, thank God I didn't grow up in the 90s and I grew up in the 2000s because these people practically worship the N64. Like, it's the god of consoles, okay? Like, these people, like, yes, the N64 was pretty revolutionary. It did bring 3D games, but the PS1 did too. Like, but they deny the PS1 exists. They deny that the PS1 was more successful and more popular than the N64 and had more successful games, okay? These people, like, for example, the PS2 was a very successful console, so it was very revolutionary. It has very revolutionary games. But so did the GameCube, and so did the Xbox did. All three consoles were very important to the gaming industry. Yes, despite what PS2 fans think, all three consoles are very important. Yes, the PS2 was the most successful console ever made, selling around 155 to 160 million units, but so was the DS, Wii, and PS3 and 360. All consoles had revolutionary games on them. The PS3 had a lot of very revolutionary games on them. Wii was pretty revolutionary, and of course, the 360 was very revolutionary. And same thing with the new, even like up to the new consoles. Like, the new consoles are not as great as the old consoles. I do agree with that one. Okay, like, a lot of new games, it's just about the money now. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the Lorax movie. Everything is about the money. The ones who are running the video game industry. But Nintendo's fandom is not fake. Nintendo has fans of all ages. Okay? People who grew up with the Wii now are now making videos. People who grew up with the DS, which I grew up with the DS, are making videos. People who grew up with the GameCube era of Nintendo and the DS era, and yes, some of the games on the very early DS, like Yoshi Touch and Go and Mario Bros. 64 for the DS, were some of the first games I've ever played. Okay? And I thought a lot of those games were pretty cool. Very, very impressive. Okay? The DS was a very impressive console. They were amongst some of the first games I've ever played. Okay? Some of the first games I've ever played were Nintendo games. They were not, Xbox games or PlayStation 2 games. They were Nintendo games. The DS was the first console I've ever owned. Okay? The original DS. But I am not 30 to 40 who grew up in the 90s and 80s. And yes, we shouldn't be invalidating those people's experiences, but these people love to invalidate our generation. They love to invalidate Gen Z and our experiences with Nintendo, Zoomer ideals of Nintendo, okay? I'm just speaking the facts here, okay? Nintendo has always gotten better with time, obviously, Zelda Ocarina of Time is not the greatest game ever made. I am sorry for that, for saying that, but I know that will offend like 1090s kids out there, okay? But there are games that were released since Ocarina of Time that are better. I can think of like 10 games that are better than Ocarina of Time, okay? Ocarina of Time is not this untouchable game that nothing has surpassed, okay? It is not, okay? It is not this untouchable game that hasn't been passed ever. Same thing with people claiming that Banjo-Kazooie is an iconic game series, but the series always sold 5 million copies most. Okay. But that's it about this video here. So what do you think about the Nintendo fandom? And it is pretty ridiculous that these people really think Nintendo's fandom is fake. Goodbye.